Ladies and gentlemen, we are back from the old dungeon. This is another edition of the Stryker Collections Anime Video Games and such for 2020. This is now, February 27, 2020. And we're going to go into a few things here. First off, I want to say thank you to a lot of my fans who've actually watched some of my content or listen to my content on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, because a lot of the things in which I say, some of it is personal opinions, some of it is collective thoughts from other collectors, gamers, and whatnot who I discuss these matters with on all levels. Because, sorry, everyone's a fan on different levels. And as a matter of fact, I want to at least discuss one matter. There's a difference between being an actual collector and a geek who just gets everything at one shot. Back in the days when let's just say I got into the whole Transformers Armada bit back in the early 2000s, I was actually in geek mode, just buying out every figure I can get, along with the mini-cons, because I wanted to get those mostly, and get the figures and see the combinations and see how they all come together and it looks and the functions that they had, because that was a new feature in Transformers that we've never seen before. Mini-cons connected to the giant to larger robots to add new functions like spring out weapons, launching weapons, changes of mode. That was a brand new concept, and I give Hasbro-Takara a lot of credit for making that concept, because it actually worked to get collectors on board. Now, as a geek who collects, that's one thing. That's the person who just basically gets everything that's in a product line and they say, okay, that's part of my collection. That's being geeked out. No offense. Again, I'm going to make this disclaimer. This is no offense to any gamer, any collector out there who collects Transformers, He-Man, GoBots, whatever. This is not a disrespect to any of you. It's just the fact there's a difference between those who collect and those who are smart collectors. I've actually grown from being just a basic collector to a smart collector. You want to know why? The difference is this. A smart collector understands the concept of quality, such as the quality of plastic, the quality of craftsmanship, the quality of the design of a figure itself all in one. Now, getting into the meat and potatoes of what I'm going to discuss here. So far, we've just seen the posts and leaks of everything from New York Toy Fair that happened this past weekend. To be honest with you, I'm kind of swayed in displeasure in the amount and results of what they did as far as the Transformers line. Hasbro, you kind of took a left turn and then you did something that just kind of weirded me out for a minute. I'll give you a prime example. Alright, they leaked out the images of Scorponok. Now, Scorponok is a Titan class character, or Titan class toy. They're going to charge $160 for this figure. I already know that from Jump Street. I bought Metroplex for $100 years ago when it first dropped out. It should have been at the same price level. Hey, I even bought Trypticon for $80, and I'm like, come on, that range is actually better. Fort Max should have been the same price, like $100. Trypticon should be around the same price of like $120 maybe, not $160. But this is Hasbro's pricing. I'm not going to argue with them. Now, in terms of the craftsmanship, now as a smart collector, in terms of the craftsmanship and design of the character, I'll be honest with you, it's like they kind of cheesed off on designing this character the proper way. Prime example, or actually another example is, if any of my collector friends out there I'm saying who do collecting for Transformers knows and looks at the model of certain characters, you can see who has been remade to look like a different body. For instance, the Generations Metroplex that first came out back in the early 2010s came out, it was beautiful. Then a few months or probably a year later, they decided to Metroplex. Metroplex is actually a rehash of Fortress Maximus. Of Metroplex. He's a recopy of Metroplex in different colors, different design, but the only difference is the chest plate and the midsection. The chest section and midsection are the only difference about that. They redesigned it to that feature to give it his classic feature, which was derived from the original concept. Now, for the Scorponaut figure that's just been released, we have the same concept. They took and used the War for Cybertron Siege Omega Supreme, used that body concept and frame, and then redesigned it to make Scorponaut. Along with, in a sense, that you took the legs of Metroplex and added that to actually give it its base mode, to give it this truncated base mode. I'm not disrespecting the concept. I'm just saying that it looks kind of out of place, but it still is a great design. It's still a decent figure, but it kind of got cheesed out. Now they actually designed it to say, okay, you have him and his headmaster partner, Lord Zarek, who now becomes a double headmaster like Metroplex and Cerebros and Spike. But also, you have to buy separately his city partner, Fast Track. Hey, Hasbro, however you get your money is however you do it. But at the same time, it kind of cheeses out and diminishes the quality of the product. I'm not trying to play anybody. I'm just saying, if you look at it from an actual, say, engineer, designer standpoint, you can see the differences in anything that's being changed. Now, as far as the rest of the line that's coming out, the Earthrise line, the only thing I've been interested in so far is the Micromaster teams. The Battle Masters, who now you've gotten a set of Battle Masters that all look like ramps that get stepped on by every other Transformer. I think that's I'm not going to say it's kind of an insult. I think of it as kind of funny, like some sort of weird level of punishment for those Transformers. The release of Ironworks, which was basically a Micromaster base years ago, and now it's become roboticized. And the same goes to Airwave. You turn Airwave into a miniature version of Fortress Max, Metroplex. But it's not a bad concept. Only thing that I feel that's kind of cheapened out and weak, like for instance, the new Earthrise Optimus Prime. I'm not feeling it. No offense, I'm not feeling it. Why? Because it looks too plain. It looks too scaled down. They're trying to make it scaled down, a masterpiece figure. Scale it down and strip almost everything off of it. You take it out the diagnostic drone the full features of the diagnostic drone. You skipped on roller, and you made the trailer look like it was just a plain battle station. Boo! No offense. Boo! That's just not how it looks. Now, continuing on, Starscream looks like his Siege version, but only with the wings a little bit bigger. Honestly, I'm not my cup of tea. Astro Train. To charge $50 for this figure and claim it as a leader class, I'm sorry, but that feels like an insult to my intelligence. I feel like that was a bad call. Let me see, who else? Grapple. The Grapple figure that actually came out, and it was reviewed by MGO and a few others. It's not a bad figure. It just, again, looks kind of plain. I've seen other versions of that figure get put out, like the Generations one, and then there's the one that was done by a third party, Make Toys. Theirs actually looks a lot better and brings more interest to it. I wish I had got a chance to buy it and take pictures of it, but it's whatever. Then comes the RC. RC, I love that character because she was one of the original first female Autobots, alongside with Elita 1, Moonracer, Chromia, and Firestar. Firestar, aka Nova Star. The way they did it this time, it's like they try to take the classics version and cut it apart a little bit with that whole taking the back piece and making it a glider for her. I feel that's kind of cheesy. I'm sorry, it feels kind of cheap. The Cyberverse one actually looks about the same model. The only difference is that they took the animated concept and just slapped that on to the body frame, the body structure, to make it look a bit different from its original context. The Target Master concept that they had, I see that it's starting to phase out, which kind of is a little bit off-putting, because it's like, okay, you're only sending out certain MicroMaster teams to get people join in. Honestly, the teams are better than the actual larger robots. Not to be offensive, but that's how I see it. Overall, from this Toy Fair's presentation, I felt like it was kind of weakened in this process. I wish there was actually more to the universe and to the designs of the characters and the new stuff that's coming out. There's one thing I also want to discuss. I heard and I've seen, and I've actually had to give a rebuttal to the design of Flame Toys' version of Windblade. Just like the other, there's a version of RC that's being put out as an anime version. And I'm sorry for people who sit there and are trying to downplay it because they say it's got too many curves. It looks too feminine and it looks overly sexualized. Can I tell you one thing? Please grow up. Please have some common sense. Your people are so overly sensitive about certain things, about a character that has curves. So what? There are different essences of beauty that people actually like, and yet if you don't like it, do not say anything about it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be real honest about that. That shouldn't have to be a primary subject about a character that an adult collector is going to purchase, not a child collector. That design was not meant for a kid to play with. Honestly, there are certain collection pieces, like the stuff from Flame Toys, the stuff from other third-party companies, that are designed not for children. Most of them, and I'll be honest with you, they actually put on the postage, not on the postage, but on the box itself, saying this is designed for somebody ages 15 and up. Honestly, I'll tell you, I got a figure from Fans Project, and I like their company too. Fans Project, Iron Factory, those are my favorite companies. Make Toys, Mastermind Creations, I like them as like second tier. Those are like my second tier teams, second tier companies. I love the way they do their stuff. Hasbro-Takara is like now down at like level 4, level 3, level 4, and those and the figures that they actually do are beautiful. The designs are different. The designs are off the beaten path of Hasbro's Generation 1 rehash from over 30 years. And it actually gives us interest to see the concept of, okay, what would happen if this character who wasn't given a design as a toy back in the day gets a toy now, gets a figure now. It actually makes them look more different. And I actually have to say, I honestly believe that characters like the Windblade and the RC figure are beautiful, and I like the way they design. And I hope they make a good sale on this thing because they look beautiful, they look gorgeous. Other than that, as far as the naysayers can say, you're not, to be honest, you're not buying this figure. So why complain? You're not a collector like that. Why complain? You don't put that on your display. Most guys do that. It's not to sound sexist, because it's not sexist. It's just the fact that there are men and women who are Transformers collectors that would actually say, you know what, I want this figure. It looks beautiful. I want to put it on my wall and say, you know what, I've got one of the badass versions of a character like Windblade, RC, or whoever comes out. And you may think it's over-sexualized, but in my eyes, that's a beautiful level of craftsmanship that was put out there. Whether it was 3D printed and fully plastered out, it's beautiful overall. I'm going to close it out to this point. And I want to thank everybody again for showing me love, showing support to all my shows and whatnot, all my podcast shows and whatnot. So, peace and be with you as collectors on all levels. Yo, love what you love, and if you decide to share it, share it. I'm your boy Strykerprime, aka Curtis SL. This is another edition of Stryker's Anime Gaming and Collection podcast, man. I was